Hey, this is Chad with BeGoneForGood. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 3 reasons not to buy a CB500X from Honda. Stay tuned. These are my top 3 reasons not to get the Honda CB500X. And don't misunderstand, I love this bike. This was the first bike I ever had. Thoroughly enjoyed my time on it, but I think we can all sort of understand that there are certain limitations. If you don't believe that, I've got a top 5 reasons why you should buy the Honda CB500X that you can watch as well, but I believe there are areas that can be improved with this bike, and I'd like to bring those up here. First off, if you're a tall rider, the CB500X might not be for you. I stand at 6'5". It was my first bike, so I wasn't really aware of just how uncomfortable it might be or what the expectations for comfort should be on a bike. I'm on a much bigger bike now. Obviously, I understand that foot position and where my hands are and the handlebar sweep and standing are all different ergonomics at this point. I would think that if you are a very tall rider, I'd say maybe 6'2", 6'3", and above, you may want to sit on a CB500X and see if it's still a good fit for you. Obviously, they have tall seats. They have a bunch of modifications that you can make to have the bike be a little bit better fit for you. But it's possible that it might also be one of those limiting factors that you don't really want to get to the CB500X if you're going to be a taller rider. All right, the second reason is if you are an experienced rider, if it's something that you've been riding for years and years and years, you've got a lot of different bikes under your belt, the CB500X might not be the bike for you. Part of the reason for this is it's undersized in a few different ways. As far as the engine, the pickup, it might be something that leaves you wanting when it comes to passing or even higher speeds if you're on the highway, because it just can't get there. It's something that I was really happy with as a first-time owner, as my first-time bike, because it couldn't get me to that point, because I couldn't do 120 miles an hour on this bike. It just doesn't have the guts for it. So it's something that can kind of keep you out of trouble in some ways, but as an experienced rider, that might not be what you're looking for. Along with that, it's possible that if you're planning on riding with bigger bikes, if your riding group is all on big KTMs, big Hondas, big BMWs, you're going to see the limitations of the CB500X very, very quickly. I know that I was riding with a KTM 1190 on my trip down to Honduras, and every stoplight that we left from, every time we needed to pass, anytime the speed limit got above 70, 75, there was a big difference and ever widening between me and the KTM, which just made me feel like I really wish I had a little bit more power. Obviously, my experience level was a lot higher at that time, so the power aspect wasn't scaring me. It was just something that I wish my bike could follow appropriately. And so for that, those couple of reasons, I would say that the CB500X might not be for you if you're either a very experienced rider or your expectation is to be able to keep up with bigger bikes on any sort of ride that you're going to be on. The last point is if you plan on taking the CB500X off-road significantly, a lot of off-road, a lot of technical riding, it might not be the right bike for you. It is a great beginner bike. It has the capabilities of doing a lot of different things, but it's not nearly as robust as some of the bigger bikes that you're going to get from BMW, KTM, or even Honda when you talk about the Africa Twin. So if it's something that you plan on doing a lot of off-road, either modifications are going to need to be made to the CB500X to put you in that category with the Rally Raid kit, or it's just not going to be able to do what you're expecting it to do. I would put in here also, if your expectation is to be doing a lot of two-up riding, the CB500X might not be for you. Again, because the engine is undersized. On my trip down to Honduras, I actually sheared off 2 of the rear frame bolts just from the weight that I had on the rear while doing some very, very light off-roading. I mean, we got on gravel roads and that was the most of it, and I sheared those frame bolts, so I can't imagine what would happen with the rider on the back. I'm sure this is just a personal experience. Maybe I got a bad set of bolts, but I think that it's something to at least consider, that if you're planning on doing a lot of off-road, if you're planning on doing 2-up, you might want to look at if that's going to be the best ride for you based on that. That's my top 3 reasons for why not to get the CB500X. Please understand before you hit the comments section, I love this bike. I think it fits very, very well. It did everything I wanted it to do when I wanted it to do it, except for obviously the acceleration. But I was very, very happy with it. But it does have its place. And if you're planning on graduating up into a bigger bike, great. The CB500X is a great starting spot. If you're planning on this being your only bike, I would caution you to take a look at some of the things about the CB500X, to go out, to sit on it, to ride it if you can. get a chance to put a little rubber to the road and see if it still fits all of your expectations. Otherwise, you're left with a $5,000 paperweight. So I think it's a great bike, but there are some things to consider as you're going through it. I want to thank everybody for watching, for listening. Our subscribers have jumped up significantly in January, and I really appreciate everybody out there talking about our videos, sharing our videos, letting your friends know. We're going to keep producing content, so if there's anything you want to see, anything you want to know about the Africa Twin, the CB500X, any of my gear, please let me know and I'll get that out to you as quickly as I can. Thanks a lot.